one had a chance against Vagar. I think this is it. But that was King Jaehaerys' old dragon. So I put number 5 as Vermithor. What about you?
We agreed there. I put number 5 as Vermithor. What's your number 4?
Sea Smoke, man. We saw Laenor ride on him. It was cool looking. You know, he had kind of like that blue and white color, but reminded me of Drogon a little bit. And a lot of them looked very different than Drogon, except for Sea Smoke, in my opinion. So kind of gave me Game of Thrones nostalgia there. So I put Sea Smoke as number 4. What about you?
Number 4 for me was Syrax. We don't really get to see Syrax do a whole lot other than burn the body of Queen Emma and the son, the little baby son there. And she flies on him a couple times. She has a standoff quickly with Daemon over on Dragonstone, then has a standoff later when Otto comes to bring terms. So we don't see Syrax do a whole lot, but I like the way Syrax looked. One of the bigger dragons, but not at the top tier size. So for me, number 4 goes to Syrax. What about your number 3?
Great one. Number 3, I got Melees. Just for that whole badass scene in the Septa Baelor over the dragon pit where, you know, she could have burned everyone down. Thing looked fucking vicious. It had the horns in the back, almost like Drogon, but blood red and absolutely snaring vicious. And it was fit for the queen that never was. It was awesome. Number 3, Melees. What about you?
Number 3 for me is going to come as a shock to most people, I'm sure, but number 3 goes to Vhagar. Vhagar was the largest dragon in existence at this point in time. Looked great. She's old, but she can still move and she can still fight. Obviously, we saw her kill Eryx and obviously effectively Lucerys in that same moment. And but the thing is we see Vhagar has a soft side as well when Laena pleads with her to burn her alive and die the way that she wants to die. And Vhagar's great. There's nothing against Vhagar. There's just other dragons I liked more for separate reasons. It's not just size for me. There's a lot of things that come into it. But at the end all be all, Vhagar looks like a pretty plain dragon. You know, and obviously in terms of what it's capable of, if I was gonna go, you know, strongest dragons, yes, Vhagar would have moved up my list. But this is my favorite dragons, so Vhagar hits number 3 for me. Go ahead into your number 2.
Perfect timing. Number 2 is Vhagar, just for the fact of what a behemoth she is. Absolutely massive. And you can tell she's a lot older. Like, you can, if you look close, you can even see like the battle scars on her wings with the holes, and kind of almost, it looks very almost like droopy kind of in a way, but just an absolute beast. And you had that whole moment at the end with Lucerys and Eryx, how it was no contest. So for that, number 2, I put Vhagar. What about you?
My number 2 goes to Sea Smoke. And I loved Sea Smoke because of the coloring. It was a medium-sized dragon, but it was that bluish-white. We don't see a lot of dragons with that coloring on top of it. This is one of the dragons that we see that aren't a pure-blood Targaryen's dragon. It is the Valarian's dragon, so it was really cool to see. I almost call it the dragon of the sea. You know, I think that's kind of cool, and so I just really enjoyed the way it looked. The fact that it is not a Targaryen's dragon, it's a Valarian's dragon. It's just, to me, I obviously know Vhagar would destroy Sea Smoke in a fight, but this isn't the strongest dragon. So for me, I enjoyed the way Sea Smoke looked the few times that we saw it, especially on the Stepstones when Laenor came into play with it, when Daemon was doing his kamikaze run, and eventually, you know, we see Sea Smoke come down and start blowing some flames. Shit was cool, man. So for me, I know it's not going to be a popular choice, but I put Sea Smoke as number 2. What about your number 1?
Can't argue that. Caraxes! Let's fucking go! Daemon's dragon, baby, and this thing looked cool as shit. Vicious, but like a bloodworm. Like, that's why it gets the nickname Bloodworm. Looked just like, almost like an earthworm with a bat, sort of. Had the long neck with the vicious face and snout, but also had wings, like, in the front and the back with the big long tail. This thing was fucking cool. It was blood red, and it kicked ass. It was kicked ass. All in the Stepstones. This thing, I would not want to go to toe with that motherfucker. So for Caraxes, I put as number 1 on my list. What about you, J. Nelly?
Great minds think alike, man. Caraxes hit number 1 on my list as well because it was really the most unique dragon out of all of them. It's the one that looks so much different than every other ones, and obviously our boy Damon rides him, so he already looks even more menacing, badass. Caraxes comes to Damon on like the snap of a call. Seems like he's got great control of him, but yes, how he looks red, like a deep blood red, and his neck is so long, like an earthworm, like you mentioned. So the bloodworm matches as a perfect nickname for Caraxes. It's menacing, it's powerful, and it looks very unique. You can tell the difference between Caraxes and any other dragon that we see in the entire Game of Thrones series. So for those reasons, for me, Caraxes hit number 1.